I'm so excited to share with you guys the first of its kind miniature project here on the Victoria Marie Crafts and Hobby YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be putting together this DIY book Nook kit by Cutie B. I know that a lot of you have been waiting for me to do miniatures here on the channel, so here we go. Let's kick it off with this cute little book Nook. I just might be mildly obsessed with miniatures. My interest in miniatures dates back many years. As far as when I was a kid, I've always been obsessed with miniature things. And in 2020, when things were kind of shut down and we were all looking for something to do, I decided to break out a kit called Sam's Study, and that's what you see right here on screen. Although it looks a little bit different because I did customize this kit. I changed the colors, I upholstered the little chair that used to be red, I also created those little wicker baskets that you see there, those little cute baskets, and I added more books to the gajillion books that had already been included in this kit. So this was sort of my jumping off point, my very first miniature project, and I fell in love. I even looked up how to make little cookies and little mug using pony beads. I went all hog on this particular project. And one of the things that it solidified is, one, I really love miniatures. In fact, I deep dived into the history of miniatures, which dates back thousands of years. I've also learned that there are miniature museums all over the world, and conventions and organizations and guilds and all these fun things. But as a hobbyist, I just love the process. Creating miniatures forces you to slow down a bit and to imagine worlds that maybe don't come true for us in real life, but we can certainly create it in miniature. Now, to give you a sense of the scale of this particular project, this is called a 1/12 scale, and I'm still learning scale, but I have my Princess Tiana doll standing there just to give you an idea. Princess Tiana is about the size of an average Barbie doll, but this is a fantastic project. It's not too big, it's not too small. It fits perfectly on a shelf and fun to display. I was able to customize it the way that I like it and just learn from this project how much I truly love working in this particular art medium, and can't wait to learn more and can't wait to make other projects as I go along. So with that, let's make another miniature project. It is, I don't know what time it is. I don't even have my watch on. It's probably 5 something. It's after work, I know that. And I got myself some tea, or almost finished with my 10th million cup of tea for today, working at home because it is frozen here in Texas, just a little bit. We're about to thaw out, but I have been waiting all day to start my miniature project. So the way that I like to tackle them is just to open it up, see what the pieces are, follow the directions, and then just start going for it. So let's see how much I can get done. I don't actually know how long this is going to take. This is the first time that I'm doing one where you can just like clip the pieces and stuff together. So yeah, let's get started. I'm so excited. While most of the miniature kits that you purchase don't require a lot of extra tools, I learned from my first project that having some tools on hand is helpful. You don't have to go out and buy anything. You probably have something like this standing around. So I have this little pokey tool. There's a term for it and I forget what it is. I also have just a regular sort of X-Acto knife type tool, as well as tweezers. For this project, I found the tweezers helped. I didn't need the other 2 tools, but sometimes you may need it to trim something off or whatnot, depending on the style of the project. And this project's pretty straightforward, so you don't need a ton of tools. You'll also need some adhesive. That's not shown there. I didn't know that until I started looking through the instructions. So my best tip when you're working with a miniature project, if you get a kit, is to read the instructions and then pull out all the elements, make sure you have everything. And if you can follow instructions, you can do these DIY project kits. This kit came with some book covers as well as some inserts for 2 of the books I'm going to be constructing. Some of the kits, like these library kits, you have to put, or bookshop kits rather, you have to put a whole bunch of the books together in various different styles or whatnot. Some already have them completed for you. It just depends. Just know that if you get a kit, you may have to put some elements together, some of the kits a whole lot, and some not so much. There are a lot of pre-printed designs on this one. This is a, snap it together type of kit. It has the grooves and things already cut for you. So all you have to do is construct it based on the instructions. There's not a lot of gluing in this particular kit, which I really like. Okay, so I'm just looking at the elements, seeing what's on here. Each element is numbered or labeled according to the instructions, so that's why I said if you can follow instructions, you can do this kit. Now, I will admit I flubbed just a couple of times here on this project because I wasn't paying attention as much, but it all came together at the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the light kit together, and I typically am a little intimidated by the light kits. Some of my previous kits that I've started but haven't finished have difficult light kits to put together, mainly because the instructions are not clear. So this one has just a single little bulb light, and then it has this little device here with, when you press on the power button, I should say, on the kit, it'll turn the light on, and you'll see what I mean when I get all of this constructed. Okay, so I typically don't like the light kits and miniatures because they're hard to figure out sometimes, and also maybe I'm just not that patient. So this one looks straightforward. Just, I guess, click these in. Will it go in? Oh no, see, I'm already starting out bad. Okay, there we go. Just need to be a little patient there, Victoria. Armed with a tiny bit more patience, I carried on by attaching the different cords to the battery pack. For this particular kit, you need two AAA batteries, which I'm going to get towards the end of the build. Now that I have the lighting sorted out, it's time to build all the elements to the kit. So I'm going to start out first with a grandfather clock, and I'm just following the instructions, nothing fancy here. All of these pieces are nice and finished out. There's nothing to paint, and there's some of them that you'll have to adhere together with adhesive. Now, coming out the gate, I already mess up by putting the pieces in wrong, the sides of the grandfather clock, and those are going to hold the layered pieces that are about to come here in just a second. So it took me a minute to kind of sort that out. This is also the first time that I filmed making a miniature process, so I'm trying to figure out what angles do I want to do this, because these pieces are tiny. They're 1/12 scale, so I want to make sure that you can see it as I'm filming it, but that'll get better over time as I'm filming more of these particular projects. All right, so I'm putting all together all the pieces, just again following the instructions. Everything fits nicely. I didn't have to adjust anything. Also, I am highlighting all the steps that I complete. That way I can keep up with what I'm doing with this project. If I have to step away from it, then I know what the next step is. Also, because there are just so many pieces, it's good to just check off or highlight the ones that you have already used or are getting ready to use. I am following the labeling system as laid out by the instructions, just snapping the pieces together, and I get really giddy when everything starts coming together. Now, what I don't realize at this point, and I won't realize until the end of the build, is that I'm missing a layer to this grandfather clock, but I already put the build together, so it is going to be what it is. I'm not going to worry about it. Nobody can see it, so no harm, no foul. Okay, so status update. I've gotten one piece done, the grandfather clock, and it looks like it kind of moves a little bit. This was a little confusing to put together, but I got it done. I just needed to pay better attention. So there are like 27 more steps to go. So yeah, let's continue on. Next up, we're going to construct the books. Now, in this kit, there are two books that you're going to construct in its entirety, so the pages and the cover. There are some small wooden pieces that are also included that you're going to adhere covers to. And then there are some books that are already pre-printed that you just have to pop out of the little pieces sheet. So the first thing I'm doing is cutting out, per the instructions, the inserts to the books that you're going to construct, so the page inserts, if you will. And I cut out the strip and then just fold it so that when the book opens, you can see the little printed pages. Now, some of the books here are actual titles of old books, and some of them you can't really make out the title. So I think that's pretty cool. I also cut out the book cover, and I'm just going to use some liquid glue to attach the book cover to the book inserts. Now, making books for miniatures can be a lot of fun, but it can be tedious. I'm glad that this particular kit didn't have you making a ton, because I'm filming this for my first miniature project here on YouTube, and so I wanted something that wasn't going to be super time consuming. In my Sam Study miniature, I did have to construct a lot of those books, so that took a while. I'm also using this tool here, and I think this is a infuser for like a tea bag, and we had a lot of them, so Bree was getting ready to get rid of it. I'm like, wait a minute, I can use that in my craft room. And so that's great to have tools like that where you can hold stuff together as the glue is sealing. So here's the second book that I'm constructing, again folding the pages and attaching the book cover on. This is a really good task to do whenever you're watching TV or whatnot, particularly if you have a ton to put on. So checking off that task and moving on. Do you have to be
refreshing?
Do you have to be this close? Like all up here? Okay. That mug in comparison to this cup, that's a huge mug. And you've been drinking nothing but tea out of that. Okay. Okay, well, great to see you.
Would you rather be a drug addict now?
No, I would rather you not to be a drug addict at all.
People are addicted to worse things. There are worse things in the world you should be concerned about than the amount of tea that I drink.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do my little
crime rates. What was it? Scruff McGruff, you know, I was trying to fight against. Weren't you in the DARE program?
You don't know about Scruff McGruff.
As a youngin'?
I was. I won an essay contest, yes.
Yes, Mother, we know. We know, Mother. You know, however, out of all the things for us to be worried about in this world, in our government, the amount of tea that I am consuming shan't be one of them.
Can you go away now?
Mother, I'm going to make you dinner. Sorry, I'm going to take a... I'm rather parched. Actually, I'm parched.
But do you have to be, like, here? Do you have to... No teenagers died in the making of this video.
Some good tea.
Why you playing?
Some good tea.
Apparently. So I just discovered that I didn't need glue to put these on because they have it on sticker paper. And I'm like, why is this book cover not fitting on this little square? Because it's on a sticker. So, do you mind? And so it makes it easier to put it on the little wooden book. Whereas with some kits you have to. Are you done with your nonsense now?
Me and my tea?
Yes. Are you done?
Me and my tea are just fine.
Okay. Alrighty. And then you just put it on the little tiny piece of wood for the book. In a way, this is genius, because if this is your first time doing this type of craft, it makes it easier so you don't have to glue all the books, because I've done that in my last build, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. So, yeah, it's on sticker paper. Lessons we learn. Now that I was thoroughly punked by my teenager, time to move on. So I'm going to go ahead and finish constructing the books, this time putting the sticker book covers on the little wood pieces. They're just little bitty wood, little tiny book rectangles, if you will, and you just put the covers on, which is wonderful. Now, if you want to enforce them with a little bit of glue, you can, but I didn't find that to be the case. I thought the adhesive on the paper was just fine. And once I got those all done, I was ready to move on to the next step. All right, so now I'm going to construct another little bookcase. This is sort of like a book display, if you will, following directions, just snapping all the pieces together. And what I have found with this particular kit, there are a lot of really beautiful details that once it's constructed, you may not be able to see, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the book ledges on there, and this is going to hold the little tiny books that will be on this particular book display. Just love that. It's absolutely beautiful. So I went ahead and laid out the books, and I don't know this yet, but I actually did this incorrectly. So these are the books that I covered with the little sticker book sleeves. There's actually some pre-printed books that you're supposed to use for this display, but we'll get back to that in just a few. Now, the next step is to start constructing some shelves that are going to go on another piece of furniture. And so some of these shelves have some pre-printed or pre-designed elements that you don't necessarily have to put together. You just have to pop them in where indicated. So that's what I'm doing now. So on this particular little shelf, it has a typewriter and a flower. And I'm just popping those notches into the groove, trying to show you a close-up of that. Okay, so now I am on step number 9. This is actually coming together really nicely. I could probably finish this tonight. So we'll see how it goes. There are some other things that I wanted to do tonight. I wanted to read and I wanted to work on my cross-stitch project, but I'm glad I started my evening out with this kit, and I'm not making dinner tonight, so I had some extra time. So that's great. So I'm on step 9. And some of what I discovered in this kit is that there are some books that are already pre-printed on here that I don't have to construct. So that's pretty cool. Some kits will have you constructing the books. Some of them don't. If it's a book-based one, here's some more books right here that I think you're just going to have to stack. You may be wondering what kind of glue I'm using. It is the iCraft Ultra Bond adhesive. It dries clear. Usually any general craft glue will work for miniature projects for the most part, I have found. Sometimes the kits include the adhesive. This one did not. So if you just have some regular glue just hanging around, you should be okay and good to go. All right, I'm going to see how much further I can get with this. I think I might actually be able to do all of this tonight, but we'll see. So I made a mistake. I put the wrong books on this little bookshelfy thing. It's supposed to be these books right here. So I'm going to slowly take these little books off and replace them. And the reason why I found out is because on this next step, you have to stack the books on the little shelf. And I'm like, where are the books that you're stacking? They have spines. I just glued them on. So it is what it is. I'm having fun. I promise you, I'm having loads of fun. All right, so now that I figured all that out, time to pry off the books. And the good thing is that the adhesive hadn't set all the way, so I'm just going to take my little X-Acto knife here and just pop all the books off. The only problem is that the paper covers on the back start to rip. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and put the other books on that were the pre-printed little wood books. Those are just going to pop right there. They don't have backings on it, which, you know, for obvious reasons. I confused myself at the beginning of this project, but now I'm back on track and gluing the proper books on the little book display. Now the books with the covers and obviously the printed spines are going to be stacked together and used in other areas of the miniature build. So that's what I'm doing now. Again, using some liquid glue and gluing these little books together. It all makes sense now that I actually, reread the instructions and following them the way that they should be. So I'm going to put these books on yet another ledge, and this is going to go on another piece of furniture here in just a second. I'm stacking some horizontal, some vertical, and then on top of the books is going to be a teeny tiny little camera, which is going to be kind of hard to see, but there are two elements of the camera to make it look layered. So I go ahead and construct that, add a little bit of glue to that, stick it on top of the tiny little book stack, and I'm good to go. Now this is a good example of where tweezers comes in, because then I can hold these pieces together as the glue seals and dries. Here's another little piece, a little ledge that I'm going to go ahead and pop on a little flower, as well as another book that I will adhere with some liquid glue. Now, once all of those pieces are put together, they're going to come together into one unit, which is going to look kind of like a shelf. So all I have to do is just pop them into the corresponding brackets according to the instructions, and then it'll create a beautiful furniture piece that has all of these really fun elements, some that are already pre-printed and designed, and just a few that I kind of put together. These pieces are really fun to work with, but remember they're tiny because we're dealing with 1/12 scale. So if it helps you to use tweezers or another tool to kind of get them all situated, then definitely use it. It just makes building these things a lot more easier and fun. Hello and welcome to day 2 of my miniature build. So sad to say, the last footage you saw or didn't see my camera battery ran out. So I wasn't able to get the last little bit of me constructing one of the pieces. So I'm going to show you that here in a second. But now it's Saturday, just got home, took my kid to ballet class. I also voted. We have a special election for our Senate district that's going on right now. So I went to vote, treated myself to some breakfast, got myself some hot cocoa, and then I thought I'd come home because I'm gonna have to run out here in just in a few more hours to go get my kid. We're gonna go to a thrift store and all that stuff. So I have a pocket of time that I can work on this miniature. If I needed to be in the area where her dance class was or is, then I would have taken my miniature stuff with me and found a coffee shop and worked, but I have a large block of time today. So let me show you what I was able to accomplish. And I want to finish this today because technically this type of build you can do within a few hours on like a Saturday or something. It doesn't take that long because of the way that it's designed. But I've been kind of pacing this out throughout the week, but I'm just now able to come back to it. So let me show you what I was able to get finished, and then we'll just continue on with the build. Also, this hot cocoa is so good. It's 29 degrees right now, so it's kind of cold. It's gonna warm up later, but it's nice to have hot cocoa on a really cold day while I'm working on a crafty project. So best of both worlds. Also, I'm trying to learn how to best film my miniature, if you will. I'm so used to filming my paper crafting things that, you know, building 3D stuff is a little bit different way of filming. Okay, so where we left off, I was building this bookshelf situation and adding the little books here and other little knickknacks and then constructing this. So this turned out really cute. Just to give you some idea of scale and how big this is. This is a 1/12 scale project. So here's a highlighter and here's the bookshop. So just a standard, or bookshop, the bookcase, I should say. So here's a standard highlighter next to the little bookcase. So it is tiny, it is small. So there we go. All right, so I love all the details. All of this stuff here just came pre-designed, which is great for this kit. And other kits, you would have had to put more books and things together. But this kit does some of those things for you. So all of this detailing here is printed on the piece. And these are layered pieces that I just glued on there to the base of the bookshelf. So this is gonna sit in the corner of the build. I also finished out this little bookcase as well. Love that it has a little typewriter on it, little vintage camera. I did have to put all of these little pieces together, which were not difficult to put together. Here's a little book stack. Those were glued together, little books down there. This little piece here just snaps right in. So to give you an idea of scale, here's the highlighter again. And so you can see that the highlighter is clearly taller than this little bookcase. And then the other pieces you saw me put together, this is a shelf. I believe this is a shelf, I think. No. This is going to sit on something. I don't know yet. I want to say it's a shelf, but I don't know looking at the picture. But it has a little violin and then some music and then a little camera. Then you also saw me put this little piece together. That's just a little book stand. So that's nice. Very pretty. I just love the design of this. It's kind of giving me dark academia and I absolutely love it. And then, of course, the grandfather clock that you saw me put together first. All right, so let's continue on with the build. Next up, we're going to go ahead and construct the walls of the build and start putting everything together. So with this kit, it comes with some little thin plastic that you can use for the windows. So I'm going to go ahead and back some of the pieces with this as it calls for in the instructions. So the top of the door is definitely going to have this little plastic piece. I just line it up according to the instructions, add a little bit of glue on the back, and then adhere the plastic on. Now, I wouldn't use that much glue because sometimes it kind of spills out on the sides, and even though this glue dries clear, it just kind of annoys me just a little bit. So sometimes a little goes a long way versus a ton of it. Of course, as you can see, when you put that plastic film on, the glue kind of spreads. So little tiny dots should do the trick. So that's going to be the top of the door frame. Beautiful. I love that design, and I love the color too. Green is fastly becoming one of my new favorite colors. Now I'm going to do the same with the front door, and what I don't realize at this point is that this door swings open and close, which you're going to see here in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and install the window, if you will. It has a welcome sign that's printed on both sides, and sometimes you'll find in these kits that some of the sides are double printed. depending on the design, and some of them aren't. And so the door in this particular design is. So if you're looking at that welcome sign and thinking, oh my God, maybe you're putting on that backwards, don't worry, it's double printed. Print it on both sides. Then this is going to be the side window next to the door. So I'm adding that little piece on as well. Again, just using some basic glue. Try not to put too much on there. Went ahead and backed that with the plastic. I'm going to let those dry just a little bit. And then I'm going to pop out just a few more pieces that are going to go into the front display window. So the first piece is like a little lamp. And when the pieces come in like these little perforated sheets, you do want to be very careful, particularly with the wood pieces, because I found that there's another kit that I'm working on. If you press too hard, sometimes you can break the wood, and you don't want to do that. So there's a bracket piece that's going to be the top of the door. It's also going to house the front window display pictures and light. Now this piece here, couldn't remember what it was. It's actually going to be a part of the display window, and I had a little bit of trouble getting this one in, mainly because the back ledge piece wasn't in tight enough. So while you don't want to put too much pressure where you will break the piece, you might have to put just a tiny bit just to get those little notches into the grooves. So I'm going to go ahead, construct all that so we have our front entryway looking very nice. And now I'm just checking off the tasks that I already did, moving on to the next step. It's time to put everything together. So I'm going to go ahead and take the first bookcase or one of the bookcases and put that in the notches as indicated by the instructions on the little parquet flooring, which is absolutely adorable. And at first it doesn't look like all these pieces are going to fit on there, but it will, trust me. It's kind of like building a house in real life. When they put the foundation down, it kind of looks like, how is a whole house going to fit on just a small foundation? And true enough, it's just perfectly sized to fit your house, and the same for these miniatures. So I'm just popping in these pieces as it indicates in the instructions. So here comes the little book display, and then the grandfather clock. And it was at this point that I realized that I'm missing a layer to the grandfather clock, but you know what? It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Actually, it was after I finished this part is when I realized that. Then I'm gonna go ahead and put the front display. Again, just trying to be really careful not to apply too much pressure because I don't want anything to break. I'm going to go ahead and install the door. And then, of course, I giggle because the door opens and shuts. How cute is that? Okay, so far, so good. We're almost done. I'm really delighted that the door opens. I think that's really super cute. But this is what the build is looking like so far. So we go inside the bookshop. I think my only thing sometimes with miniatures is that some of the details are covered up so you can't see it. So this little bookcase, you won't really get to see the details of the cabinetry there. But I mean, it's so cute. And it's so reminiscent of just like if you're walking down the street and you come upon just an old little bookshop. It's just adorable. So love the little parquet floor and everything. Like the pictures hanging here from the top. So I'm going to make some little slight adjustments here. They kind of look, do they look a little wonky? Yeah, they might be okay. Anyway, the only challenge is sometimes getting the pieces in the little notches. So you have to be careful. But other than that, this has been a relatively easy build to put together. So time to carry on. I just only have a few more steps left. Now it's time to construct the walls for our kits, but there is a few things that we need to add to the wall. So this one's going to go to the left-hand side of this particular build. The first thing I'm doing is I'm adhering a frame. Now what's cute about this particular project is there are images of historic people, historic art, as well as books and things, classic books, if you will. So that adds a lot of character to this particular project. Another thing I didn't realize is that there needed to be a channel for the cords for the light kit to go through, and that's exactly what this next piece is going to be. So I'm creating somewhat of a channel or a ledge, if you will, and it's going to allow me to run the cords at the top of this particular build, so that it's not obstructing any of the top panels or anything like that, and that the cords run nicely behind the build, which you'll see here in a few. Now, once that's in place, I'm ready to add just a few more elements. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the piece, and I have it laying down on its side because I need to add a little bit of pressure so that the grooves fit into the notch. So that particular panel is done and ready to go. Now I'm going to work on the right hand side. This one is going to also house not only a couple of picture frames, but also there's a little flower that's dangling off a little hook that I had to construct. There's a tiny, tiny little hook that you put into that panel and then hang the flower or the plant off of. I'm going to put the frames on the pictures and then the little display I guess it's a bookcase or shelf case, if you will, is going to snap right into that panel, which that has to be put in before you put the panel to the build. So there we go, and that's how that turned out. Looks very nice. Little display, little bookcase there. So we're going to go ahead and put that panel right there to the right hand side. And I mentioned the grandfather clock. This is the point where I realize I'm missing a layer of that grandfather clock, but I put the wall in and I'm like, you know what, it's just going to be what it is. Again, just being careful to snap everything into place. And here's just kind of a 360 view of the build. We have the back panel that we need to get to, and then finishing out the front. So I'm looking at my pieces and making sure that I have all the little details done before I actually box everything in. You can open up this build again. You don't have to adhere it closed. So that makes it easy if you want to go and fix anything. And here's where I discovered I missed a book. I thought I was missing one at the beginning. I was not. So I went ahead and put that book where it actually doesn't go there in the build, but I forgot to put it where it was supposed to go. So I added a little bit of glue, used my tweezers, added that to the build, and we're just going to call that good. All right, next up is time to construct the electrical panel, or the light panel, if you will. This actually turned out to be easier than what I thought. So in the kit, you get little bitty, I guess they're called brackets, if you will. Those little tiny wood brackets, if you see there on the table. And what you do is you run your cords through those little brackets, and there's little notches in the top where when you position the cords, you put the little bracket down, and then you secure everything in place with some tape that's included in the kit. So I thought that was very, very user-friendly, number one, but also very smart to include the adhesive there to hold the cords down. I'm just following the directions, and by directions I mean for each step there's only one line of directions, so you have to use a little bit of your smarts to kind of deduce on what to figure out. But all you're doing is you're just running it into this little line, making sure that everything's adhered, the little brackets are on. And that little panel there is a touch panel. So at the top, there's a little power button that's a part of the design, the illustrated design there. When you touch it, it's going to correspond with the little panel that's underneath the top panel, and it'll turn the element on, which you'll see here in just a second. Now the battery pack is going to be hidden in a little alcove there at the bottom of the build, and I'm going to show you how this can be easily accessed at any time whenever the batteries need to be changed. All right, so the moment of truth, we're going to see if the light works. And there's a little button indicator here, so let's press it. Yes, it works. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Huzzah, it works. That makes me so happy because I was a little worried there. I kept pressing the power button and it wouldn't come on, and then eventually it did. So I'm really, really happy that that worked. Okay, so you're going to run the cords behind the build, and then there's going to be a panel, a back panel, and it's going to have a little opening, and you're going to create a lock for the opening as well. So I'm going to show you that here right now. So first off, we're going to go ahead and put another picture frame on. I think that's a picture of the Mona Lisa. That's on that. It was really cute. And then I'm going to install the lock for the back battery pack panel. And this just involves putting in a little anchor or bracket, if you will, that goes into a little handle. And so you open the panel, which it's designed so that it opens really nice and easy, and it's flexible and bendable. And then you just lift up the handle to unlock and open the back panel. And I went ahead and put the back panel, which you didn't see me film, but the back panel is assembled. All right, now it's time to build out the storefront. So I need to add this piece here. This is a gold, if you will, on the paper, the cutout paper that you get with the kit. You're going to cut that out. That's going to be a gold backing. That's what I was trying to say. It's a gold backing. And that way the letters on the front of the store, Owl Book House, definitely stands prominent. You can see those letters and see the title of the store. I'm going to add another one of these little plastic bits behind the opening. And I actually at first put it on the wrong part of the build. I put it where the door goes. That's clearly not where it goes. And so I changed that up and put it to where it needed to go, which was behind the window. Now that I have that front portion ready to go, I'm just checking off to make sure if I've missed any steps. But I think with that, this build is complete. All right, so my final thoughts on this project. This was a lot of fun to put together. I highly recommend this if you're someone who wants to get into miniatures, whether you just want to do one little one-off project, you want to give it as a gift, or you want to start collecting, building and collecting. This is a really good one. Most of the construction, you're snapping in pieces. I think that the biggest challenge was just kind of fitting these little grooves into the notches, but that's okay, or the notches into the grooves rather. And then just kind of figuring out how to maneuver that, but it's not anything that you can't do. If you can follow instructions, you can build any miniature, really. I was a little nervous about the lighting part of it because in the past when I've done kits, the lighting always trips me up because the instructions aren't very clear and the instructions weren't super detailed for putting the light together, but I was able to do some things and I made it work. So I'm very proud of myself for doing that. All the pieces came together nicely. I would say you can use just some regular adhesive if it doesn't come with it. Some kits do, but this particular build, a lot of what you're going to be doing is snapping pieces together far more than what you will be gluing. But nonetheless, it comes together really nice. I love all of the details and the layering, the light. It just looks like you could just walk past this little bookstore in any city, any town, all over the world, wherever you're at, and you walk in and you're just met with something warm, inviting, looking at some books, just really, really fun little build. And I would say if you were to do this, maybe if you had a day on a weekend or something like this, I would say at minimum, anywhere from 3 to 4 hour build, at the most, probably no more than 6 hours. It took me maybe about an hour and a half to finish this, and it took me probably about 2 or 3 hours to start it, mainly because I messed up because I wasn't reading the directions clearly. And I also goofed a little bit towards the end, but it's okay. It's not anything that can't be figured out. Now, one thing I did discover is I left out a piece and I wasn't going to tear it apart to put it in there. So there is a layer to the grandfather clock that I forgot to put on. It doesn't make any difference. It looks nice. Nobody would know. The wiser. So it's just going to be the way that it is. And I just have an extra piece and maybe I can use that in another miniature build. Now, the cool thing about these is that it just invites you in. You can just look inside and see all of the gorgeous details. There's just so much eye candy to look at. And a lot of these designs are pre-printed for this particular kit and put together for you. And some of the elements you'll actually put together yourself, but not a hard one. Very easy, very beginner friendly. Or if you just want to have something easy to put together, this is highly recommended. So I posted the link down below where you can find this kit. It's not an affiliate link. I'm just sharing it with you if you're interested. And yeah, I look forward to making another one of these. I will definitely buy from this particular style from the same company when I just want something relatively quickly to put together. So I just love miniatures. I think this is so cool. So let me know in the comments if this has enticed you to try out miniatures. I can't wait to hear about it.